Now we will consider the policy prescriptions in ISLM framework. Specifically, we will consider the aggregate demand management policies. The policies to boost up aggregate demand. So in horizontal axis we are measuring aggregate demand or output, and vertical axis we are measuring rate of interest. So this is my IS curve, this is my LM curve. So OR0 is the equilibrium rate of interest and OY0 is the equilibrium level of aggregate demand right now. Now, if we want to boost up aggregate demand, we have to adopt the aggregate demand management policy. There are two types of aggregate demand management policies. Number one is fiscal policy and number two is monetary policy. So number one we can call it expansionary fiscal policy and number two is expansionary monetary policy, and number three is the policy mix. So first we will start with expansionary fiscal policy. So expansionary fiscal policy can be adopted through two instruments. Number one instrument is the government can increase the public expenditure. And another instrument is the government can reduce the tax. So in both cases the objective is same. So first we will start with the expansionary fiscal policy adopted through increase in public expenditure. So let us explain what will happen if government adopts an expansionary fiscal policy through increase in the public expenditure. So Y equals to, we know that aggregate demand has its three components because we have considered the country is a closed economy. So 3 is consumption, private investment plus public expenditure. So initially if we consider public expenditure increases, so that will directly increase the aggregate demand in the commodity market. So what will happen if there is increase in aggregate demand in the commodity market? We know that there are two parts of the demand for money: transaction demand and the speculative demand. So money supply, the money market equilibrium condition, just remember that transaction demand plus speculative demand equals to M bar by P, real money supply. So if Y increases, that will definitely increase the transaction demand because we know that equals to K into P into YD. So whenever transaction demand for money increases, we can find that money market, the money demand will be greater than the real balance. Demand for money will be more than the supply of money. Then what will happen? So this will create an excess demand situation in the money market. So whenever there is an excess demand situation in the money market, that will definitely create excess supply situation in the bond market, because people will now, they have excess demand for money, they will try to get it by selling bonds. So what will happen? The bond price will start to fall. and after that the rate of interest will start to rise. So whenever rate of interest rises, it will have two impacts. Number one, private investment will start to fall, so aggregate demand will also start to fall. And second thing is that speculative demand for money, this will also start to fall. So this process will be continued unless we find that the equilibrium is restored. So what do we see? That due to excess demand for money, in this process the rate of interest increases, and for which there is a decline in private investment. This decline in private investment due to rise in rate of interest is known as crowding out effect. That means the public investment here crowds out the private investment. So let us show it with the help of a diagram. Let us explain it with the help of a diagram. So initially this was my equilibrium point E0. IS curve is I0 S0 and LM curve is L0 M0. So now there is an increase in public expenditure, and if public expenditure increases, the IS curve will shift rightward. So this is I1 S1. So at this rate of interest, the aggregate demand will be OY dash. So aggregate demand rises from OY0 to OY dash. So this point, if we consider this point F is on IS curve, but it is not in LM curve. So commodity market is in equilibrium, but the money market is not. So what we will see? We will see that due to this entire process, the rate of interest will start to rise, and whenever rate of interest starts to rise, there will be a gradual decline in aggregate demand. Why? Because due to increase in rate of interest, there will be crowding out. So due to this crowding out, what we will see? Aggregate demand will also start to fall. So this is the initial increase in aggregate demand, but finally we will see that E1 is the new equilibrium point, which indicates the simultaneous equilibrium in commodity and money markets. The rate of interest will rise from R0 to R1, and finally the level of aggregate demand is OY1. So this movement from Y dash to Y1, this is mainly due to the crowding out. So now we can show the private investment multiplier here. So here we see that Y equals to A plus BY plus IR plus G, and we know that B, this is the value of B, and I dash will be less than 0. And second, this is the commodity market equilibrium, equation number 1, and we can do it in the reverse way, better to do it, that A plus BY plus IR plus G equals to Y. This is the equation number 1, the commodity market equilibrium, and this is the value of B, I dash is less than, I dash is less than 0. The money market equilibrium, that KPY plus LR equals to M bar by P, real balance. Equation number 2, K is greater than 0, P is greater than 0, those are constant, and L dash is less than 0. So what we will do? We will now differentiate both equations. So by differentiation, from first equation, if we differentiate it, we will get b into dy plus I dash dr equals to dy. So I have made a mistake, that it will be b into dy plus I dash dr plus dg equals to 0. Now I give it equation 1a. Now if we differentiate equation 2, what will get? Kp into dy plus L dash dr equals to 0. Or we can write L dash dr equals to minus Kp into dy, or dr equals to minus Kp dy by L dash. I give this equation 1b. So now let us replace the value of dr from equation 1b and find what happens. What we finally get. So I will replace dr by this equation. So b dy plus I dash into minus Kp dy by L dash into dy plus b dy minus I dash into Kp dy by L dash into dy plus dg equals to dy. Or in other words, we can take all the dy components in the right hand side. So it will be dg equals to dy into 1 minus b plus kp divide kp I dash divided by L dash or in other words dy by dg equals to 1 divided by 1 minus b plus kp I dash by L dash. So just see here, I dash greater than 0. I dash less than 0, L dash is also less than 0. So I dash by L dash will be positive. So this entire term is positive. And 1 minus b is, we know that b is less than 1. So 1 minus b will be positive. So we can write dy by dg is definitely greater than 0. Now, this is the time to compare the value of this multiplier with the government expenditure multiplier in simple Keynesian model. So we know that government expenditure multiplier in simple Keynesian model equals to 1 divided by 1 minus b. So we can definitely say the value of this multiplier is definitely less than the value of the multiplier in simple Keynesian model. The question is why? So see, in this multiplier, in the denominator here we find one additional component kpi dash by L dash. From where this comes? This is basically coming from the interaction. This part shows the interaction of commodity and money markets. That means basically this part indicates the case of crowding out. That's why in simple Keynesian model there was no interaction with money market. Investment was given as constant, but here investment is given as a function, inverse function of the rate of interest. And in this case, whenever we are increasing the government expenditure and consequently the aggregate demand rises, with the introduction of money market will cause an increase in rate of interest. So any increase in aggregate demand in product market will be followed by an increase in rate of interest in the money market, because increase in aggregate demand in commodity market creates an excess demand situation in money market, and for that increase in rate of interest there will be definitely crowding out, which is shown by this. So this is the government expenditure multiplier in simple Keynesian model, ISLN model. The value of this must be less than simple Keynesian model. That means expansionary fiscal policy is more effective in simple Keynesian model and it is less effective in the ISLN model because of its interaction, the dynamics of money market and increase in rate of interest.